Welcome to the Dinar Daily. We are examining a significant and developing story that is capturing widespread attention. The headline at the center of this discussion is truly historic in its implications. Iraq's central bank has reportedly been declared crisis-proof. This declaration is not being presented as a minor update, but as a pivotal moment that is giving a green light for a major currency revaluation. This is the story we are tracking, a development that many have been anticipating for a considerable time. We will be unpacking the layers of this announcement, exploring what is being reported, what it signifies according to various analyses, and the potential impact it could have on the financial landscape of Iraq. This is a topic of immense interest, and our goal is to present the information as it is being discussed by observers. The information emerging suggests this is far from a routine announcement, a rumor, or a simple speculation. Instead, what has been described is a fundamental structural change, a development that could shift the entire trajectory of Iraq's financial future. For decades, any conversation about Iraqi economic reform has been dominated by persistent concerns over the nation's stability, the readiness of its banking system, and its capacity to handle comprehensive economic changes. The current developments, however, are being interpreted as a sign that the country is now officially prepared to move forward. This represents a significant departure from the skepticism that has long surrounded the nation's financial capabilities. Marking what many see as a new chapter. For many years, the international financial community has expressed reservations. Questions about Iraq's stability, the modernization of its banking system, and its readiness to manage significant economic reforms have been at the forefront of discussions. These concerns have often acted as a barrier limiting the country's ability to fully integrate into the global economy. Now, recent reports indicate a major shift in this perception. The narrative is that Iraq has reached a milestone of preparedness. This isn't just a minor step. It's being framed as the culmination of extensive efforts to address those long-standing doubts, suggesting that the nation's financial infrastructure has finally reached a point of maturity and strength that was previously thought to be years away. At the heart of this story is a certification reportedly obtained by the Central Bank of Iraq. This document is being described by experts, particularly those who understand the complex intricacies of global banking, as nothing short of game-changing. This is the moment that many observers have been pointing to as a critical benchmark, a tangible sign that Iraq is ready to step confidently onto the international financial stage. It's this certification that is underpinning the crisis-proof designation. We will delve into the specifics of this document, what it is called, and why it is being assigned such profound significance by those who are closely monitoring these events. It is this single piece of evidence that is fueling the entire discussion. The certification that has been recently secured by Iraq's central bank is reportedly referred to as the IOS 301 certificate. According to the information available, this document carries a significance far beyond what most might initially assume. It is not being characterized as a simple administrative form or a routine compliance paper that banks acquire regularly. Rather, it is being presented as a powerful declaration. It is a statement about the bank's fortified ability to withstand major economic challenges, to navigate financial turbulence, and to operate without the perceived risk of catastrophic failure. This distinction is crucial to understanding why this news is being treated as such a monumental event by the community that tracks these developments. This IOS 301 certificate is being framed as a declaration of the bank's institutional resilience. In practical terms, this certificate is said to demonstrate that Iraq's banking system has achieved the capacity to manage large-scale monetary transactions, respond effectively to sudden capital movements, and, most critically, execute currency reforms without risking a systemic collapse. For a country that has endured decades of instability, conflict, and severe economic sanctions, this level of recognition is being described as unprecedented. It is a formal acknowledgement that the systems are not just new, but that they are robust, tested, and meet a high bar of operational integrity. This is the core of the technical argument being made. Experts who are familiar with the situation are reportedly calling this a monster move. This terminology is being used because the certification is seen as representing the culmination of years of modernization efforts, intensive strategic planning, and significant technical upgrades. The central bank has, according to these reports, now successfully met rigorous international standards. This achievement is not the result of a single policy, but rather a long-term, multifaceted strategy to fundamentally rebuild and strengthen Iraq's financial core. The monster move label reflects the sheer scale of this undertaking and the difficulty of its achievement, positioning it as a foundational victory for the country's economic planners and their vision. The term crisis-proof is being used very deliberately to describe this certification, and it's important to understand the context of that phrase. For years, critics and skeptics have argued that Iraq's banks were fragile, its financial systems were technologically outdated, and that corruption was too widespread to even consider any major currency reform. Every attempt to introduce structural changes was met with heavy skepticism because the world doubted Iraq's institutional ability to manage the sudden economic shocks that such reforms might unleash. This deep-seated doubt has been one of the single greatest obstacles to progress, creating a high-risk perception that deterred investment and partnership. The IOS 301 certificate, as it is being described, directly addresses these long-standing concerns. It is being presented as confirmation that the Central Bank of Iraq has successfully established robust compliance systems, implemented modern technological infrastructure, and significantly strengthened its internal controls. The result, according to this narrative, is that the financial system is now resilient. This isn't just a minor improvement. It's a fundamental shift from a state of perceived fragility to one of verified strength. This verification is what allows the crisis-proof label to be applied, signaling that the bank has systematically and verifiably addressed the very weaknesses that critics have long pointed to as disqualifiers for reform. This level of preparation, verified by the certification, reportedly ensures that the country can now handle a sudden surge in liquidity or other significant monetary pressures that often accompany a currency revaluation. It's a direct statement to the world that Iraq is no longer a high-risk environment for such operations. It is now being presented as a secure partner, a nation capable of standing on its own 2 feet in the complex world of global markets. This certification also serves as a critical key of confidence. It is described as the mechanism for unlocking opportunities and partnerships that were previously blocked by international doubts about Iraq's financial stability and its capacity to manage its own monetary policy effectively and responsibly. Confidence in a nation's currency is absolutely critical for its economic health. Without that trust, even the most abundant natural wealth or foreign reserves cannot truly stabilize an economy. Iraq, as is well known, possesses vast reserves of oil, gold, and other valuable natural resources. However, historically, a profound lack of trust in its central banking institution and financial systems has limited the value and stability of its currency. With the IOS 301 certification, Iraq has, in effect, earned a global stamp of approval. It signals to investors, international banks, and foreign governments that its financial systems are now considered reliable, trustworthy, and most importantly, transparent. This certification is the confirmation, according to analysts, that currency reform is not only possible but that it can be conducted safely. It functions to remove the thick fog of uncertainty that has clouded Iraq's economic future for so long. It provides the global community with a tangible assurance that the central bank is fully equipped to manage its monetary policy responsibly. This includes protecting the interests of both domestic citizens and international stakeholders. This newfound and verifiable reliability is being positioned as the solid foundation upon which the next phase of Iraq's economic growth and national development will be built. Marking a clear break from the instabilities of the past, The implications of this certification are also reported to extend beyond the technical aspects of international banking. By demonstrating this level of financial stability, Iraq is now positioned to restore and rebuild confidence among its own citizens. This domestic component is seen as just as important as the international one. For years, the Iraqi public has often faced a lack of trust in their own currency, a situation which has resulted in a heavy reliance on foreign currencies, like the US dollar, for daily transactions and as a store of value. This dollarization of the economy has been a persistent challenge for Iraqi policymakers, undermining the sovereignty of the dinar. The recognition of Iraq's crisis-proof status helps to change that domestic perception. It reassures the public that any forthcoming reforms are not built on a fragile foundation but are backed by a strong, capable, and internationally recognized institution. When the general population trusts the financial system, the adoption of new policies, including a potential currency revaluation, becomes a much smoother process. This certification, therefore, is not just a technical achievement for bankers in a boardroom. It is also a powerful tool for rebuilding confidence across the entire nation, encouraging both the public and private sectors to engage with and participate in the next chapter of Iraq's economic recovery story. The timing of this certification is also being highlighted as particularly significant. After years of documented delays, persistent uncertainties, and numerous political roadblocks, the central bank's achievement is being seen as a clear signal that Iraq has finally met all the necessary international standards. Analysts who follow these events note that the reported absence of sanctions, restrictions, and other forms of external delays indicates that the country now enjoys full economic sovereignty. This is a critical step in any currency revaluation process because it ensures that Iraq is free to set its own exchange rates, manage its reserves, and respond to market changes without external interference. This development is being interpreted by many observers as a clear green light. In practical terms, this means that the long-discussed monetary reform of the Iraqi dinar is not just a distant possibility. It is being viewed as imminent. The international system, according to this analysis, is now ready to recognize a new value when it is implemented because the underlying systems have been vetted and approved. For the first time in decades, Iraq is positioned to control its own financial destiny with a newfound sense of authority, confidence, and, most importantly, international backing for its institutional competence. This is the crux of the excitement surrounding the announcement. Equally important is the reported connection between this technical preparedness and a parallel political alignment. Alongside the IOS 301 certification, there is said to be a growing movement within Iraq that is actively promoting a message of national economic pride and stability. This movement has been encapsulated by a slogan that has been gaining widespread attention: "Make Iraq Great Again." While the phrase may sound familiar to international audiences, within Iraq, it has reportedly taken on a unique and specific meaning. It represents a collective public desire for economic restoration, a resurgence of national pride, and the full reestablishment of the nation's economic sovereignty. After years of turmoil, this public support is considered crucial because large-scale economic reforms, especially those concerning the national currency, cannot succeed without buy-in from the population. By aligning this technical readiness with a growing wave of public enthusiasm, Iraq is reportedly creating the perfect environment for a successful transition. The people are being prepared not just for a financial change, but for a broader message of economic empowerment and national renewal. This combination of a crisis-proof certification and this growing political momentum is what experts are now calling a perfect storm, a rare convergence of all the necessary factors for truly transformative change. The groundwork, according to this narrative, has been laid on every single level: technical, political, and social. For the Iraqi citizen, the ultimate goal of such a change would be a stronger currency, which could lead to better purchasing power and a more stable financial environment for families and businesses. For investors, the signal is one of confidence. an invitation to enter or expand operations in the Iraqi market with the assurance that the financial system is secure. This alignment of forces is described as both rare and highly significant. It is a moment that may very well define Iraq's economic path for the next generation, setting the stage for long-term growth, prosperity, and global recognition. The IOS 301 certificate also reportedly confirms Iraq's ability to withstand external economic shocks. This is a critical point, as in the past, sudden changes in global oil prices or regional political instability have often destabilized Iraq's currency and wider economy. Now, with these verified systems in place, the central bank can reportedly manage liquidity, oversee monetary policy, and respond to market fluctuations far more effectively. This makes the currency more resilient and, by extension, more trustworthy. International banks and corporations can now, in theory, operate in Iraq without the same level of fear of unexpected, systemic collapses or currency crises that have defined its recent past. In addition to its technical significance, the certification is said to provide a much-needed framework for transparency. International financial institutions, foreign governments, and private investors all demand clarity and accountability before engaging in major economic reforms or committing significant capital. With this recognition, Iraq is now reportedly able to present its policies, its systems, and its financial strategies with a new layer of credibility. Transparency fosters trust, which is the essential lubricant for foreign investment, international trade, and long-term economic planning. This shift enhances Iraq's credibility on the global stage and makes its monetary reform far more likely to be embraced by the international community. Moreover, the impact of this certification is expected to be felt across the entire domestic banking sector in Iraq. Local banks are now positioned to expand their services, introduce modern financial products, and participate more actively in global markets. Customers and businesses alike are intended to benefit from the increased confidence and security in everyday banking operations. The ripple effects are anticipated to extend to everything from personal and business loans to trade financing and new international partnerships. The central bank's modernization is not just a standalone milestone. It is a catalyst that is intended to set the entire financial ecosystem in motion, creating opportunities for innovation and sustainable development. This development also fundamentally changes the narrative surrounding Iraq's economic reputation. For years, the country has been widely seen as a nation at high risk of instability, perceived as unable to manage its own finances effectively. Now that narrative is shifting to one of resilience and readiness. The international financial community is effectively being told that Iraq is no longer a liability but a capable and responsible economic partner. This change in perception has real-world implications for diplomacy, trade negotiations, and cross-border financial operations. It is a powerful statement that Iraq is serious about its growth and is prepared to meet the high expectations of global markets. Ultimately, a currency revaluation requires confidence from every single stakeholder. This includes the government, international institutions, the banks, and the citizens themselves. The IOS 301 certification is the mechanism that reportedly provides that confidence. It reassures everyone that the central bank has done its due diligence, that the systems are robust, and that the country can manage the transition effectively. The parallel political movement supporting economic restoration ensures that this technical readiness will be matched with public enthusiasm. Citizens are being primed to understand that a currency revaluation is not just a financial maneuver, but a national initiative to restore Iraq's economic strength. In conclusion, the combination of a crisis-proof certification and growing national support is said to provide the final piece of the puzzle, the confidence needed for implementation. According to these reports, Iraq now has the systems, the international approval, and the public alignment necessary to execute currency reform successfully. This is the moment that brings together technical precision, political strategy, and public enthusiasm. The green light, as many are calling it, is on. The central bank is declared crisis-proof. The international community is watching with trust, and the people are reportedly ready, This is not just a story about banking. It is a story about national transformation, resilience, and hope for the future.